What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to what is potentially a terrifying video. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. But if you're not, cast your minds back to last week when we done the Simpsons prediction video. This is going to be something a little bit different. In the 1500s, there was a guy called Nostradamus. He was quite well known for writing a book called Les Prophéties. I probably butchered it. However, with this crazy book of prophecies, it was said that he was able to predict certain events that was happening all over the world before they happened. Now in this video, we are looking at the events that he had predicted for 2025. I'm not going to lie, I watched the video prior to recording the intro, and let's just say it's not looking good. This video comes from Most Amazing Top 10, again. But if you like the video, do me a favor, like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
The rise of an empire from the dark depths of the sea, the return of the plague, and calamities in Brazil. 2025 is shaping up to be a pretty horrific year, according to Nostradamus, so let's talk about...
Don't start, mate. I was hoping for something good.
Some of his darkest predictions for 2025. From the depths a ruler will rise, empires will fall, and new waves will reign. The aquatic empire from the realm of the ocean. This ominous prediction from Nostradamus is supposedly said to play out this year. A lot to unpack with this one. From the depths a ruler will rise? That sounds like it could be pretty metaphorical. If the quote ended there, I'd think it meant that some unknown power-hungry person would come to power, not literally someone rising up from under the water. But then he doubles down by referencing waves and caps it off, writing about an aquatic empire from the realm.
And we now know that there is aliens under the water. Oh God, what is happening?
Of the ocean. Not much room for metaphor at that point. It pretty clearly means something bad rising up from the water. So what could it be? Could he be talking about dangerous rising sea levels? Maybe, but that's something we've tread on plenty of times on the channel before. Pun very much intended. So here's another thing to consider when it comes to this aquatic empire thing. How about all those mysterious drones that have been showing up recently? There were reports of 50 drones flying out from the Atlantic Ocean near New Jersey. Could this be a sign of what Nostradamus...
This is what I don't get, because they're flying out of the sea and then they're hovering for like 6 to 8 hours, and then they're doing one again, like 50 miles across the ocean. Where, why, who, how?
Nostradamus was writing about. Maybe Nostradamus wasn't just talking about rising seas. What if he was predicting the rise of a literal aquatic empire? Aliens who have been holding up deep in the ocean since...
Hold on. Why was the geezer on the right dancing?
Aquatic empire. Aliens who have been holding up deep in the ocean since the beginning of time. Finally ascending from the...
You wake up and see that. What do? You literally just open your eyes. And that. All I'd worry is that I was about to get probed.
Watery depths to wage war on the people of the land.
I don't want that.
This isn't necessarily a new idea. Stories of underwater kingdoms or forces rising from the depths have always intrigued people, but with more and more of these UAP sightings, it's starting to feel just a little, a little less like fantasy. Maybe. All I'm saying is I think the government should really look into constructing giant mechs to battle the monstrous beasts that are going to be climbing out of the water to trample our cities.
Godzilla's real. They've been prepping us for Godzilla.
Quote, cruel wars and the outbreak of an ancient plague are also predicted to play out in England in 2025. Poor Europe. Baba Vanga also predicted horrible conflict erupt.
I don't want to be moody, and I know that this is the country that I live in, but the Royal Guards, they look silly, don't they? What is on your head? And why? Someone's going to fact check me right now and tell me exactly what the explanation is. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that they still look stupid.
There this year. The idea of plague is nothing new, especially after the chaos of the little pandemic in 2020. Nostradamus was known for his eerie accuracy in some past predictions, and with the world still recovering from the effects of that global health crisis, him predicting that there will be another devastating plague, something way worse, definitely not something anyone wants to hear. In his writings, he talked about a resurgence of an old disease, one that could ravage the population, possibly possibly even more deadly than any war. Some analysts believe this could refer to a new, more aggressive form of an old illness, maybe one from 2020. But it could also mean something like the Black Death, which decimated Europe centuries ago, and that would really suck. And mix in all the war.
Look at the top right. We watched this one.
Social unrest.
I love this guy's
channel. A recipe for a pretty crappy year for Europe. Now, moving on to Brazil.
Actually, wait, we're not in Europe anymore.
had some pretty wild predictions for what he called the Garden of the World, which some have interpreted to mean Brazil. He warned of flooding and volcanic activity and mentioned the country being, quote, seized and plunged into the tub and forced to drink waters poisoned by sulfur. Certainly sounds like a natural disaster to me. Flooding is already a big problem in Brazil, especially with deforestation, climate change making storms and heavy rains more intense, but the volcanic part, that's a bit trickier. Brazil isn't really known for active volcanoes, but...
Can someone tell me where the closest volcano is to the UK? Current known volcano in the UK, please.
Just south of it, in countries like Chile, well, they've had eruptions. The area is full of shifting tectonic plates, so it's not completely out of the question that Brazil could see volcanic activity. And Nostradamus' mention of poison waters could be pointing to the country's rising pollution levels. Rivers and oceans are getting more contaminated from things like industrial waste, deforestation,
£10 if you drink it.
So maybe this prediction is a metaphor for a struggle with environmental damage and how it's leading to more natural disasters. Let's stay on this topic of natural disasters for a moment, though, because Nostradamus wrote about them a lot. He had a pretty grim take on natural disasters in that they would only get worse, eventually leading to the destruction of mankind. At least some interpret. Again, his writing is often pretty nebulous with a lot of metaphor. He wrote, the dry earth will grow more parched and there will be great floods when it is seen. That's a pretty biblical sounding warning, but some people are looking around at the current world we're living in and wondering if this could be referring to the extreme weather we're already seeing. Last year alone, we had some major hurricanes, Beryl, Milton, and Helene. Helene ended up being the deadliest hurricane to hit the U.S. mainland since Katrina in 2005. And then there were the catastrophic floods in Afghanistan and Pakistan, where over 1,000 people lost their lives. Of course, natural disasters happen every year, and they've happened all throughout history, but there's been a noticeable increase in how frequent and intense they are, making Nostradamus' prediction feel eerily relevant. So, are we really seeing the signs of what he described as the end times?
I'm gonna have to search, and I'm gonna do this during editing as well. So I'll put it here. How much has this guy been right? And I'll leave a little bit of time, you know, for it to come up on screen and be like, he's right about everything. Sounds like my wife.
Personally, I think people tend to look at esoteric writing like this and pull from it what makes sense to them. It's just natural for us to draw comparisons to the world around us. But regardless of how you feel about so-called seers, deadly natural disasters do seem to be happening more frequently. Next is Nostradamus' prediction of an asteroid collision. He
Mate, when is he gonna predict that everyone gets a lifetime supply of Pop-Tarts or something? Something good. Jesus, man.
Typically spoke of a giant stone.
Everyone's going to come into millions and we're all going to be well off. And
that this could apparently happen. In his words, from the cosmos a fireball will rise, a harbinger of fate. The world pleads, science and fate in cosmic dance, the fate of the earth, a second chance. Sounds pretty horrifying, but at least he said we'd get a second chance. Now we know that near-Earth asteroids pass by our planet all the time. In fact, hundreds of them swing by Earth safely each year without causing any issues.
Twice a year as well.
A massive asteroid hitting Earth is still...
It's called the Taurid meteor stream. You go through it in November and in June as well. So, could happen anytime. Anytime, any year.
One that scientists are constantly keeping their eyes on. Space agencies like NASA track the orbits of large asteroids, and while we haven't had a major collision in modern times, history shows us that asteroids have caused mass extinction in the past. Now, there's comfort in the fact that if a massive asteroid were on a collision...
Right, there was one in 1908 in Siberia, I believe. I think it was called like the Tunguska event. Apparently, it was a big asteroid that broke up into a lot of little pieces. And if it was together and it hit the Earth, it would have been like 100 meters wide or something. And that's not even that big in comparison. There's asteroids that are like 100 miles wide that exist and they're just floating around in the ether. Mental.
Course with our planet, space agencies would know about it well in advance. But at this point, we still don't have a tried and true method of handling one. Technology is being developed because eventually...
Tell me, I swear, did we not send something into space a few years ago to try and redirect an asteroid? I'm pretty sure. Did we not? I don't know, maybe I'm making that up.
We'll probably need it, but fingers crossed, it just won't be this year. Nostradamus wasn't just fixated on disaster and plague, though. He also made some predictions about global politics, saying great powers will clash, which sounds like a pretty clear reference to the ongoing conflicts that we're seeing around the world.
It's a bit of a reach, though, isn't it? I mean,
tensions between countries like the US and China, the ongoing war in Eastern Europe, and constant power struggles in the Middle East. It feels like we're seeing exactly what Nostradamus might have been hinting at, but he also predicted a decrease in the influence of established Western countries and the rise of new world powers. If you look at how countries like China and India are becoming more influential economically and politically, you could see this shift happening. The West, especially the US and Europe, used to have a lot of control over global decisions, but we're witnessing a rise in new powers that are shaking things up. So things are definitely changing. Will it be good? Will it be bad? We'll just have to wait and find out. On the bright side,
I don't know, really
not all of Nostradamus' predictions were dark and doom-filled. He also foresaw major advancements in medicine, especially when it comes to treating illnesses and preventing them before they even start. In 2025, we could see some huge breakthroughs, like the rise of personalized medicine, where treatments are tailored to individual genetics, making them way more effective. AI-powered healthcare is starting to make waves, with machines able to analyze health data faster and more accurately than humans.
That's good.
It's possible that we'll see new treatments for conditions.
That doesn't mean that iRobot won't come true, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
Conditions like dementia, Alzheimer's, and chronic diseases, which have been really hard to manage until now. Nostradamus might have been predicting the future of healthcare, where
every picture I've seen of this guy in this has been
come
different
together to create these highly effective treatments that could change the way we approach medicine for the better. Not sure how much of a difference this will make if his other predictions play out, but let's just hope he was wrong about those.
That's such a good point. We've had a major breakthrough in medicine. But there's a massive rock that's traveling at thousands of miles an hour that's going to come and... I don't know. Anyway.
Or that we've been misunderstanding his words. Nostradamus also predicted a, quote, very great famine through pestiferous wave, which sounds pretty unsettling. The wave part could be something like tsunamis destroying crops, but then there's the word pestiferous, which means harmful or disease-causing. So this could also mean the famine is caused by something that ruins crops, like a disease of some kind. Pests, you know? I mentioned global conflict earlier as well. Maybe it's something like toxic gas released in a war, or radiation messing up the environment, causing crops to die. Well, let's try and end things on a positive note. With all the talk of war, asteroids, plagues, and death, it's nice to know that Mr. Negative also predicted an end to a big conflict of some kind this year, writing, through long war, all the army exhausted, so that they do not find money for the soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin leather, Gallic brass, and the crescent sign of the moon. Like a lot of his work, this is pretty vague. But with news of a possible ceasefire to what's been...
A lot of this I don't like, because it's like you could interpret that in any way you wanted to. You know what I mean? Oh, let's end on a plus. All he said was, instead of coins, it's leather. That could mean us going back into a Bronze Age. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. What?
Been a very prolonged conflict over in the Middle East. Maybe there's some truth to this one. I know, I certainly hope so. And with all that said, I will catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video if we're all still alive.
Sorry? Does this geezer know something we don't? Most amazing. Top 10. I would just like to make this very clear right now, that I think a lot of what Nostradamus wrote is kind of up for like interpretation. So please don't let any of this scare you, even though I'm terrified. Anyways, if you like the video, do me a favor, please like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.